So in last night's episode, we saw that Haley really embraced you to take on or retake on that alpha role. Are we going to see that trend continue?
It's going to be a slow process. You know, Jackson's still mourning what happened with Oliver and all that stuff. So he's going through a little something, and you know, he's not all that eager to come back and take on all the vampires and all the witches and all the stuff that's going on. But yeah, over time, I think we'll slowly start to see Haley kind of making sense and kind of gets to him, and we'll start to see him kind of step up a little bit.
How's he going to react to Ansel's death?
No, well, he in his months away, he spent a lot of time with Ansel, and spent a lot of time learning all about the history of werewolves and traditions and all this stuff that we haven't really been able to get into much of. But you know, he was taking notes, and I think they became really close. So, you know, that right on top of Oliver's death, you know, it's a lot to take back to back, and it's a big blow for him.
Can you talk a little bit about the ancient ritual we're going to see in this week's episode and what that's all about?
No, really, we'll have to wait and see about that. But it is something that he's learned in his time with Ansel, and you know, he has this journal that he's kept all this knowledge and all this history of tradition and all this stuff. So we start to reveal that a little bit later on.
Does he get
Go for it, go.
Does he get brought into the original family mess? Because right now Klaus and Elijah have two of their brothers, and Esther has Cammy. Does he get drawn into that storyline at all?
Yeah, that family keeps growing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think just being with Haley brings him into it in some regard. You know, and he's always kind of, him and Elijah kind of had a little connection back in season 1, and as we move closer to, as we move closer into, you know, becoming with Haley and all this stuff, yeah, he's going to get drawn into all that a little bit.
Now that Haley is a hybrid, does that change the way that Jackson looks at his like betrothed princess? Can he get past that?
I think in a way, but you know, he's had a thing for Haley forever, and you know, this was the only way to save her life, and I think he understands that. You know, and it makes Haley that much more powerful. And you know, as much as yes, there's a distance initially that is there, but at the end of the day, Haley's still Haley, and you know, Jackson has cared about her for a very long time.
Will we see them getting closer as the season goes on?
A little bit, yeah. They start spending more and more time together, and as they're going through the tradition and the history, you know, I think Haley's learning to kind of appreciate that side of herself a little more, and Jackson's sort of a doorway for her to see that.
How was shooting that scene? The Oliver funeral scene was sad.
It was sad. That was a great scene, and you know, Chase is a great guy, and I loved working with him. And it's always hard, you know, you when you do a scene like that, you have to kind of bring up all of the garbage from your own past, you know, and all the tragedy you've been through, and kind of stick with it and live with it for the 12 hours that you're shooting, you know. So it's hard, it's draining, but you know, Chase is a great guy, he's a great actor, and working with him made it easy. And just the circumstances too, somebody comes running at you covered in blood, it's gonna be, you know, if you buy into it even a little bit, you're kind of like, oh my god, this is happening.
And how will, because you know they were friends, and sort of they had their issues, but how will he sort of be without him now?
Well, I think we'll have to see him recover a little bit. You know, I think Oliver and him were very, very close for a long time. You know, best friends, and you lose your best friend, and it's kind of like losing a piece of yourself in a way. And as we move forward, you know, we'll start to kind of see that hole get filled in other ways.
Do you think your heroic deeds with the arrow and Vincent's maybe changed Haley's feelings about Jackson at all?
I sure hope so. I mean, it's not. It was actually really fun to be able to kind of finally. I'm not getting beat up for once. I can finally step up and take some action, and yeah, I think it's good to have a moment of, you know, oh, I'm coming to save you, and you look at that, and yeah, you're like, oh, okay, this guy can step up. He can do this. So I think that's a good moment.
Does that lead to him doing any more actions that you can tease from what you've filmed so far?
I certainly hope so. We'll see. We'll get it. You know, we're just at the midpoint right now. You know, we still got a whole long season left. So hopefully in the future, yeah, we'll definitely see more of that.
The pack has really been dwindling. It feels like werewolves are just dying left and right. Are we going to be seeing an effort to reach out to more, or even realizing that Haley can't even reproduce since she's a hybrid?
Yeah, I think that's something that we kind of even covered in season 1, trying to bring everybody together and unify all these different kind of warring tribes, as it were. And as the crisis of having the rings and being under the control of the witches and all this stuff kind of escalates, yeah, I think the remaining wolves kind of do gather around each other, because it is all about family, and wolves are all about their pack and their strength in numbers more than anything. So yeah, I think we have to see some of that.
Will we see Jackson interacting with Aiden at all?
Yeah. As we go forward, you kind of start to learn a little bit more about that relationship, and it's a really cool one. I like where they're going with that.
What can you tease about the episode you're filming right now?
Nothing. Nothing. It's gonna be good though, I can tell you that.
Speaking hypothetically, of course, how might Jackson feel if he were to find out that Haley's child is alive?
Well, I think that would change everything for him. His affection for Haley would extend to anyone that's a part of her. So I think he would absolutely embrace that.
Is there a part of him that feels like this might be weird, but like that should be my baby? Like,
maybe, but I don't know if anyone's ever dated someone who's had a kid before. You can't think like that.
That's true.
You can't do that, because you just love the person and you love everything about them, and that child is a part of them.
I just mean because like they were sort of betrothed or whatever.
Yeah, but they didn't really get to know each other that well. So she kind of had a whole life before that.
She did.
Is there part of Jackson, do you think, that just wishes Haley would cut off ties with Klaus and that whole family?
Oh yeah. That family's toxic. I mean, they're a mess, and it's the more she can separate herself from them, the better. But she's a part of that family, and you can't really separate the two, unfortunately.
Are we going to be seeing any Klaus Jackson scenes, or even Jackson Elijah scenes?
Oh yeah.
Can you tease about those?
Not much. There's a lot of good surprises and twists that come up, and I don't want to give anything away, but they're good. They're really good. I'm really excited with it.
Is there anyone you haven't gotten to work with much that you'd like to work with more?
Yeah, I would say Leah and Charles. I haven't really gotten that involved in them. I've had a couple scenes with Charles. Haven't had any scenes with Leah, and I love her work. I think she's fantastic, so I'd love to work with her a little bit.
What is something that's coming up that you're just so excited for Originals fans to see?
What am I not excited for them to see? I mean, this season is crazy, and it just keeps, getting bigger and bigger and spiraling more and more out of control. I'm just thrilled to see what people think and how they respond to it. It's going to be really good.